The way some people talk, you would think atheism was just another religion, a brotherhood, or a club. But it isn't any of that. It's the club that isn't, so let's get into that. This is the Atheism for Beginners channel, and I'm your host, Christian Exenberger. I was blown away the first time I heard people ask what atheists believe. I thought it was obvious, but many people just don't get it. The fact that atheism is the absence of belief, not a belief, is not understood by everybody, and it's often deliberately misinterpreted by people with an agenda. And that goes a long way to explaining why religious people act towards us the way they do. Today, I want to examine this from an atheist perspective. The atheist in question, of course, is me. The views are mine, and I certainly don't claim to speak for other atheists. Atheism is a term that shouldn't exist, because it tries to describe us for what we are not. It's like finding somebody who doesn't support a football club and then describing them as an A supporter. Atheist is a definition, nothing more, and it restricts itself to the nature of the person's belief or lack thereof in a deity or deities. As defined by the Oxford Languages Dictionary at the time of writing this, atheism is disbelief or lack of belief in the existence of God or gods. And atheist is a person who disbelieves or lacks belief in the existence of God or gods. The term only makes sense in a world filled with religion, that not believing is the noteworthy exception. Even then, it's only useful to categorize and pigeonhole atheists so that religious people can lump us into our own special groups, along with all the other heathen groups containing believers of all other religions other than their own. When you become an atheist, you soon realize that there is no club. There are no weekly gatherings, you don't sign up anywhere to join, and no one welcomes you and declares you one of us. You can be an atheist without even thinking about it. If your belief in God slips or you never had one to begin with, then you match the definition, regardless of whether you are conscious of this or not. Atheist is a term invented by religious people to tag us, so that we too can be categorized as a group of evil outsiders. But the reality is that there is no group at all. There is no club, no matter how much the religious would like to think that there is. In a perfect world, the term wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be called anything, and only those choosing to join a religion would name themselves for that trait. Even the realization that one is an atheist is based on conditioning forced on us by religion. In a perfect world, the thought wouldn't cross our minds. The absence of belief would be just that, an absence, a nothingness. Every other perspective you may hold, such as belief in science, evolution, secularity, or humanism, is outside of your atheism. They are all things you could believe even if you weren't an atheist, and being an atheist does not mean that you must believe any of them either. Atheists tend to be rationalists and hold views in life that incorporate these and similar perspectives, but this is by no means mandatory. The tendency of people to conflate beliefs that are correlated with being atheist, but are not atheists, seem to be the core of the misunderstanding. That, and inventing beliefs that would suit their narrative if they can convince their followers that they are things atheists believe. Becoming an atheist and joining the club that isn't is quite a varied experience. Somewhere between the non-event of someone who has never been indoctrinated at all, to the complete mind blow of a deeply religious person who has had their worldview yanked out from under them and replaced with a void. I got the light version because I realized atheists were correct when I could still count the years on the fingers of my two hands. But I still remember the feeling of realizing and accepting that there is no God, that all the stories the teachers teach and the preachers preach are nonsense. And I remember clearly that when I realized that Christianity was wrong and that there was no God, I didn't go and look for an alternate faith or a God to follow. It's like when you realize Santa Claus is made up. One day you tie the loose ends together and you know what the truth is, and set your belief in Santa aside. Christmas will still carry on even though your belief in Santa is gone. There will still be presents under the tree, but you know that they were put there by your parents and not by Santa. And many things suddenly become clear, like why rich kids get bigger presents at Christmas despite their behavior. But the point is that the belief is set aside. It wasn't replaced with something else. You didn't start believing in the Grinch or celebrating Hanukkah or something. You set belief aside and carry on your life without it. But the religious keep pushing their perspective because it doesn't suit the narrative that there isn't some dark evil streak to atheism. They keep insisting that we are some alternate religion, some evil offshoot of Satanism or something, and refuse to accept that we are not, that there is no club. If they didn't do this, many more of their followers would take the time to look at the evidence and think it through. Another idea they like to push is that atheists believe in science. While it is undoubtedly true that many atheists, if not most atheists, believe in science, there is a stark difference between what belief means in the context of religion and what it means in the context of science. Religious belief is blind faith in the church's teachings and the content of the scriptures, with creeds that followers must recite to affirm their beliefs impervious to the evidence that they might be wrong. Scientific belief is like science itself. It recognizes that the scientific method is the best method we currently have to help us uncover how the universe works, and it can be discarded and replaced should it be proven wrong, or should a better method emerge. Belief in science is by no means required to be an atheist either. but it is the logical viewpoint you adopt to understand the world if it isn't painted entirely in God-tinted spectacles. Claiming science as a belief allows them to claim that everybody believes in something, that we just believe in something different, and because they are all beliefs, theirs are as valid as ours. Science isn't the exclusive domain of atheists either, and there are many religious science and religious people who also believe in science. Atheists simply don't believe in God, and any other characteristics the religious tries to tag onto us are pure nonsense. A fanciful flight of imagination that they use to paint us as the bad people they need us to be, because religious leaders can never allow their parishioners to think that maybe we aren't all bad. Therefore, many people refuse to accept that they are atheists because they don't think that they match the tarnished evil image of an atheist that the churches have painted in their minds. They think, I have lost my faith and I just don't believe in God anymore, but that doesn't make me an atheist. But it does. They match the definition. They fight against joining the club that isn't, thinking it is more than it is, but they join it anyway because there is no club to join. They believe what atheists believe, not what they think atheists believe. They enjoy freedom from religion regardless of admitting that they are atheist or not, and because there is no club, they haven't missed out on anything. Babies are atheists, even those of believers, as were the believers themselves when they were born. It upsets people knowing saying this, because they don't want to tarnish their babies with the same brush they are using to tar atheists, even though the tar doesn't exist. Babies don't believe in God or gods, therefore they are atheist, and it doesn't matter that the water has been sprinkled or the tip has been snipped. When they have learned language and have absorbed enough indoctrination that they believe of their own accord, then the atheist definition will no longer apply. Unfortunately, this will probably happen anyway, as their parents will have them in their clutches long enough to ensure that the nonsense sticks. There shouldn't be a name for people who don't believe in God. We're just the everybody else crowd. We didn't need to be named, and these problems wouldn't exist if we hadn't. The problem is not with being an atheist, it is that the term shouldn't exist. People should just be able to set their beliefs aside and not be called anything. And we should be able to do this without religious people trying to tarnish us with as many objectionable traits as they can. I realized very quickly when becoming an atheist that there is no club, no support structure, no groups of atheists reaching out to each other, no get-togethers and no prayer meetings or Sabbath gatherings. A lack of belief in God does not come with a motivation to get together and proselytize. Let people believe as they wish, I used to think. It made no difference to me, and it doesn't do any harm. It is merely an innocuous delusion. And like that, so many people like me become atheists, but never spread the word. We do this partly because we don't want to be ostracized for our lack of beliefs, but no more so because we believe it doesn't matter. Because we think religion is harmless, there is little to be gained by proselytizing, and therefore we don't pass on the knowledge. Each tiny seed of enlightenment gets snuffed out again, starved of nourishment in the darkness, unable to grow and spread, and the religious indoctrination machine wins again. It took me years to realize that religion wasn't so innocent after all. Quite the contrary. Much of what they believe is only virtuous viewed in the specific light of their beliefs, and much of it is downright heinous. The fundamental purpose of religion is to subvert your right to think for yourself, so that they can fill your head with whatever they want it to contain. And once you believe, you are ready to be commanded and milked. That is why atheists defend them so. Because we don't allow them to think for us, and because they perceive atheism to be like a virus which can spread amongst the believers and undermine their control, along with the power that gives them. Atheism is the club that isn't. The club that all religious people think we belong to but don't. The club they think conspires to upset religion but doesn't. The club is of their own making, imagined in religious minds. The only reason to get together, based on our shared disbelief in God, is to fend off the religious mobs trying to brainwash all and sundry. But the fact that atheism is a definition and not a club or a religion doesn't mean that there can't or aren't any atheist clubs or communities. Just because atheism doesn't come with a motivation to get together doesn't mean that we need to hide, at least for those of us who are safe enough not to do so. There is no harm in raising the profile of atheist and atheism, so that the world gets a better understanding of what we are, and that more young minds learn that not believing is also an option. So that more of us don't need to feel that we must hide our lack of beliefs from our peers and the rest of the world. So that novice atheists don't always have to go it alone, because there are others out there who think as they do, to whom they could reach out. So that politicians cannot claim to have had a divine audience and be imbued with divine wisdom without somebody calling out their nonsense. So that atheists have a voice in the world, unafraid and proud. Thank you for watching, and if you have found something interesting here, please like and subscribe. Until next time.